Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dark City Show on Dark City Radio. I'm just making sure that's all working, and it is, lo and behold. What a cracking day we've had today. Whew, big one. Now running on a Sunday from 1 PM GMT all the way through till 11 o'clock at night, and who knows how far we'll run over. So yeah, good stuff. Santos has just gone getting a cup of tea. He's going to be back with us. If you've got questions and you want to put them to the man himself, he's still on here now with us at the Dark City Show. Add Bobsbackyard to your Skype. That's Bobsbackyard to your Skype. Or you can ring in from outside the UK, 0044 298 0298. If you're inside the UK, you drop the 0044 and just have a 0. 161 298 0298. Right, we got a few already on the line with us. We got our Robohippy, our web designer, and the guy who's actually typing in there as well. We've got Santos. What can you say? What a cracker that was. Dom, he's done them the same. He's just taking 5 minutes out, maybe 10, and Dom's still with us up here. And we've got our mate Bob, Earthwise, as always, and me, Paul, commonly known as Bob. I do think that Odin may be joining us. Odin and Wildhunt. I've got a feeling Prajna might be calling in pretty soon. Please do, if you want to get in here. My mate Neil, if you're listening out there, Neil, and Nigel, any of you know what it's about. This is the Dark City. You put the topics forward, have a rant, ask a question, ask us what you don't know, and tell us what you do. If you've done some research, if you've got some local news, this is your radio station. We put it together. You are the components. You are the components. Without you, oh, Malek, yes, add to the good call. So yeah, we're just warming up again. We're warming up again. We've got 2 hours of this. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm pretty much blown away by Dom's show. We've had some cracking stuff, absolutely cracking stuff, and the continuity, the chat rooms are live, and here comes another one. This is what we like to see. So our room's filling up here on Dark City. We've been joined by Malek. I hope I've got that right, Malek. I kept getting it wrong yesterday. Joined us yesterday on the Dark City. Very, very wise man indeed. And we've got our Prajna, and no doubt there, the woman, the power, the energy behind the Prajna. Callie in the background. We all know, really, don't we? It's the women behind the men of truth. I jest a little bit. It's all equal in that perfect world, of course. All equal. So we've had, what have we had? Casting of energy. Chakra points, energy systems, the rivers within inside the body. Oh God, now I don't know if all you go for all this stuff, but for me it's banging. I'm all into taking back control for my own well-being, self-empowerment, internal control, not necessarily control, but giving up the resistance that I am eternally, and becoming the persistent resistance to the tyranny and the external perception that I still have. My last polarity, I suppose, the inner and outer world. What am I projecting out there? And does that have some relevance on my inner being? I suspect it does. So this stuff I heard from Santos and earlier as well. Big thanks to our Dom there. He has done this station proud, and he has the same sentiments as most of us here. It's ours. It's what we make of it. We won't defend it. We will not we put our time and energy into it, but not to defend that cause. Not at all. The gates to the Dark City are open to all, including the new Pope. If the new Pope, the old Pope, he's got nowhere to go, we'll find him a show on Dark City Radio. Somehow I don't think he's going to accept our offer. Just like the governments of the world yet We are still waiting for them to accept our offer of unconditional surrender. If they lay down all their weapons and arms and cease their activities, unlawful activities, against the men, women and children of our beautiful planet, then we will not reap no persecution or vengeance upon them. However, this offer is for a limited period only. So yeah, peaceful resolution, peaceful solution to this paradigm we find ourselves immersed into in our daily lives. So easy to be pulled into that matrix of possession, of wealth and of worth and of value. Soon the chain, the manacle is placed upon the ankle. We enslave our brothers and sisters under those same very rules. When we still use the same systems that Adolf Hitler used to judge the Jews, then are we worthy of a true paradise? Are we worthy as individuals? Well, I say I am, and I say all are. With empowerment, we can do it, without any doubt. So, there's my bit of a ramble. It's great, wasn't it? It really was. So, should we go with the last first or the first last? I don't know. Bob, come on, Bob. Have you got anything to add in there? You've been here, trusted servant of the city, since about 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock this morning.
Well, to be honest with you, I've just been blown away by it all. I'm going to have to listen to all the podcasts of today again, because there was just so much information coming out. And I mean, I don't profess to know it all, but I thought I knew something, and it's clearly evident that I know very little. So that's a big plus for me. And it's just so exciting knowing that there is so much more out there, and that there are so many more people than I thought also taking all this on board as well. I've just been covered in goosebumps all day. So, yeah, I haven't got a rant, I'm just in humility.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. I can relate to what you're saying, Bob. I really can. We've spoken off air, haven't we, about, you know, never quite knowing what's happening. We've had a few little stumbles while we've been putting the radio together, and each time it just seems to improve. Just seems to get a little bit better, you know. Just that. What springs to me there is accepting the mistakes. You know, not denying them. Actually, oh look, that was a bit of a boo, and changing it. Just trying something else, having a go. And I think when we do that, and we tell one another our mistakes as well as our successes, you know, we move on a lot quicker. I think there's a lot of ego goes to play when people don't want to tell you when they mess up. They only want to tell you when they get it right. And often we all make the same mistakes over and over again. So yeah, I'm a bit with you there. It was like having the jigsaw in your head filled in. I had a few pieces missing. Wow. Santos' explanation of just coming from another angle. It's like I'm hearing what I've heard, you know, what my own guidance, my own feelings, my own thoughts have brought to me. It's like hearing myself coming from another angle, Bob. It's good stuff, really good stuff. But saying that, I was quite really resonating with Kevin. Annette, is it Annette? Am I pronouncing it right? Northerners, rubbish at pronouncing things. Kevin Annette, who was on his earlier show. And then even Vin James before that. I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe I'm just buzzing with everybody at the moment. Maybe I'm picking up on some pretty creative people. Yeah, I'm surrounded by them right now. I can see them, Bob, can't you? They're all smiling at me in these little windows in our square table.
Yeah.
I'm back, guys.
Hey, welcome back, Santo. Right.
Yeah, thanks.
I suspect we might have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know you're Santo's good to do that. If we can do this, I sense there might be a lot of passion. So first blue light gets it. Wow, they weren't very quick there, were they?
Okay, I'll do it. What is that like? What's my volume like? Is that okay?
Yeah, nice and slow, man. Keep breathing. Away you go, Robo.
Right, Santos.
Yes.
Right, I hope I can remember the question now. Right. Yeah, astrotheology. Wonderful thing you did on that. Karl Marx and geomathematics. I don't know if you're familiar with that and the links with astrotheology.
Yes.
That?
He absolutely, brother. He is spot on. That guy has noticed all those numbers connecting important edifices on this planet along ley lines, and we continually keep seeing this popping up, and they are all connected by certain numbers. Now, I mentioned in the show that the circumference of the Earth, the Egyptians knew it to be 22,592,000. Now, you take 2 zeros off that, you get that magic Platonic number, which Plato also discussed was the number for precession. 25,920 years. So you just add 2 zeros to that and you get the dimensions of the sun. But interesting that the Earth is also 25,920 miles in circumference. Yeah, they're going to tell you that it's 25,000 on Wikipedia. They'll tell you that it's 24,900 or something like that last time I checked. But it is, in fact, 25,920. And the reason I know this is because, so you look at the sun's circumference is 100 times smaller, the Earth's is 100 times smaller than the sun. Then you've got the moon. The moon is 4 times stepped down to that. The moon's circumference is 2,160 miles. That would be exactly 1 age of precession. All of precessional numbers rule the planets. Like I said, Saturn, every 72 returns is exactly 1,000 years or 1,008. But the point is, there's this 1,000-year timekeeping thing that goes on with the signs of the zodiac, and all of the planets conform. I mean, I could have gone into a lot of detail. Look at the moon. The moon takes 2.5 days to transit a sign. Saturn takes 2.5 years. So the moon and Saturn work together. The Earth and the sun work together. Similar sizes, similar orbit styles, similar everything. Numbers, precessional numbers. Those numbers go on and on. 72 is the number that precession moves 1 degree every 72 years. So the stars are falling back 1 degree. They drop back. They precess every 72 years until finally they come back to the same point. So a whole revolution will take, that'll take 25,000 years. So, and you see these numbers everywhere, all over the place. I mean, Saturn is full of it. Saturn's ecliptic time corresponds to the time given for the moon, as I just said. They also have very similar energy. Both believe that Saturn and the moon are satellites that have been interfered with by the controllers. David Icke speaks about this with the moon. He also speaks about it with Saturn. But there's always those two dark orbs. They both have the same earthy, dark energy. And they both have the same cycles. And these are all fractals, all of them, of precession.
Right, Santos, like my first question, I had another question from it. With the Karl Marx stuff, which you answered beautifully, thank you. It did, like one monument points to another monument, yeah. It seems to be across thousands of years of some sort of like some knowledge that's there, maybe related to your astrotheology, I don't know. But in these videos, he pointed to one thing that pointed to some like what's called artifacts on Mars and stuff. I thought that was a bit sketchy, but it led me to thinking, well, if these monuments can point to like Mars and other monuments, and do they point to other things and other planets in this solar system, and does it go on to like a galactic level? And what's that all about?
Yeah, as above, so below. Those numbers are sacred numbers. The Bible's full of it. The Bible is all about procession, all of it. In fact, a prophet is a diviner. And if you take the last R off the word diviner, you get the word divine. So, and this is what the Bible says: woe to you diviners of the astrological sciences. It's not condemning astrology. It's condemning the diviners, because they've become charlatans. Pretty much how some astrologers are now, real cheap horoscope tellers, and charge a lot of money to profit for themselves and not really help anyone. When I do astrology, it is only for the benefit of the native, because they get to see what's in their chart, how many debilities they have, they see what propensities they have, so they go away with many, many benefits. Yeah, they charge and they bring dishonor to the science, but the science is there and it's inescapable. It's all about procession. A processional month, which is like 1/12 of the processional year, lasts 2,160 years. That's the circumference of the moon. And so we're locked into this by the orbs. The orbs are manufacturing these numbers. They obey these numbers. Numbers are creatures. These creatures really control nature's laws. And there's not a law in nature that does not obey it. And so procession must be recognized sooner or later.
Excellent. Excuse me, I didn't have my microphone there, and I was the one doing the typing. I'm trying to keep up, Santos. There's lots of people adding requests, and I'm trying to bring people in at the same time. I do believe Malek, am I right there? Am I keeping up with text? Malek, have you got a question?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Hi, Santos. Wonderful show. Absolutely loved it. Great stuff. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned before something about we can only see the sun from the atmospheres. I just wanted you, if you can, please just elaborate. Because I remember in one of your lectures, you also said that it's quite important to do some sun gazing, especially when it reaches the low points. It's apparently good for your body. So I wanted you to elaborate on that.
Yeah, for sure. Solar gazing is very important because it actually does download information directly from the core of the sun, because that's where all light in this solar system is coming from. It's a small, we don't know the size of it, but it's a photon in the center of the sun, and that's the central sun of the sun. But we cannot see the sun because you need the atmosphere to reproduce for us in order to be able to see the effect of the reproduction of the light wave. Light doesn't travel. It's a little toroidal field surrounding the atom, the photon. Each photon that comes from the sun is surrounded by a beautiful field, and it's two equal and opposite fields. And what happens is, as the photon goes, the reason it curves is because the fields pick up some drag, pretty much like your racing car drivers. But it's the field of the electron or the photon that bends it. It's the field. It's not actually the photons. They pretty much tend to go in a straight line. But if you want to really understand all of these things, there are 2 videos that I recommend. Primer Fields, Part 1, 2, and 3. Primer Fields. Very important, by David Lapointe. Very important information there. And also have a look at Eric Dollard. He is the scientist that talks about how you can't see the sun. Just put Eric Dollard in YouTube. You'll see he's got 6 or 7 videos there. Everything he says is absolutely rich information. And you will learn quite a bit about the solar system. He explains that the sun is a transformer. What we see is a veil around the hollow sun. And when we see sunspots, those black sunspots, that's actually peering through into the darkness of the sun, because the outer corona that we see, the outer layer of the sun, which is hydrogen, and it looks like it is nuclear fusion, but that only is happening in the arcs of the waves. According to Eric Dollard, the nuclear fusion sun is a myth. It's a scientific crock, but he explains that it transforms energy. So we don't know what powers the sun. According to him, the Hindus say that it is water energy. It is powered by water, and so the sun will only be active if the planet has an atmosphere. It will only have life-generating properties. The planet must have an atmosphere, because the atmosphere is the magnetic generative part of this symbiotic system, where the sun needs planets with atmospheres in order to plant its seeds. All seeds come from the sun. Everything that you see, insects, animals, elephant, whatever you see, trees, they are all forms that are generated in the sun. This is what Walter Russell, the great scientist, said about 60 years ago in his book, The Secret of Light. He said, all things in this solar system come from the sun and return to it. The life germ for which man is seeking is in the sun. The idea of man is in the sun. Likewise, all idea of all things is in the sun, awaiting birth into form. The pulsing light of polarity borns all idea into its form when conditions are favourable for each idea to be mothered by an extension of the sun. This mothering by an extension of the sun, of course, is planets. Everything in nature is a moving extension from a still point of the one light. The center of the sun in our solar system is the point of still light from which everything in the entire solar system radiates spirally, and toward which it gravitates spirally for its resurrection into another cycle. The sun is the seed of the solar system from which all manifestations of idea in this entire system extend and to which they return. Motion is for the sole purpose of manifesting idea. All idea springs from a state of rest in its seed. As it unfolds from its seed, it refolds into it. It therefore follows that motion is a seeming two-way extension retraction from and to a point, and has no existence save to senses, which sense but the extension and not the voiding simultaneous retraction. So what we are sensing is motion, and we call that reality and material things and planets and so forth. They are just thought waves in motion which come from the sun and are mothered on planets with atmospheres.
That's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I'll definitely look into the work of Primer Fields with David Lapointe and Eric Dollard. I mean, I totally resonate with what you're saying. I mean, all life forms originating from the sun. I heard of David Wilcock talk about this. He proved that certain organisms are growing in the North and South poles without them actually traveling, but they're appearing simultaneously at the same time at both poles. And the thing with the hollow planets as well, I mean, I have to admit, Santos, in the beginning I was quite skeptical about the hollow Earth or hollow sun or hollow planet theories until I looked into a gentleman called Keshi. This guy's got a foundation, I believe it's in Netherlands. He's been working with certain governments, one of which I think was the Iranian government, working with gravitational fields. And he also explained that naturally planets and suns are hollow as well. I found it quite strange that, coming from, a nuclear physicist background, that this gentleman's coming out, saying, planets are hollow. There is a source field within planets. I just wanted to ask you, is there any other information that I could search into to find out a bit more from maybe a scientific perspective about, these theories?
Yeah, absolutely. I would go also to my colleagues Jason Verbelli. I interviewed him on American Freedom Radio. He has a lot of papers on Russellian natural science. Robert O'Tay and Matt Presti, they have the website based also on Russellian science. The four of us are big Russellian science people. They have a site called thesecretoflight.com. You can see a whole series of short videos explaining how light works, explaining how light does everything, etc. Keshi is another great source. Keshi is wonderful because he really brings it to us from a scientist PhD type, from an academic type, which is good. But he's seen the light because he's just being sincere and genuine. Most scientists also do know that there is this other true science behind the false paradigm which they are promoting, but which they cannot betray and go against because they will lose all of their prestige and money and funding and projects. And so a lot of honest, good scientists are also, got their hands tied up, but they are also coming out like Keshi, and they've discovered this energy, this still magnetic energy. And that's all it is. There's no one out there that has discovered anything other than magnetism. That's the only thing they will ever discover that is energy, that is free, and that can do anything, because there's only one force in the universe doing anything, and that is electricity, period. And light is the power that generates that electricity. Still light, that is, magnetism. So magnetism is the mother, electricity is the child, and electricity goes forth is the force that produces all of the motion that we see. And Keshi knows it. These other three guys that I've mentioned also know it. But there are also many, many other fountains of this wisdom. Eric Dollard, of course, I mentioned him. If you want to join my weekly webinars, I teach biblical astrology every week for a couple of hours on a Friday. And all you've got to do is go to my website, School of the Holy Science. You will see all these other teachers there. Subscribe, you'll get a notification. And when you're available and have time, you can join and learn this great science. Learn the degrees that affect everything in your chart. Learn the planets and what they're doing for you. Find out what Mars is doing in your chart. Find out whether he's hindering your progress or actually helping you. Find out what herbs and crystals and cell salts you can use to make you stronger and healthier and think better. And that's what I'm teaching. I'm teaching syncretism or biblical astrology in a practical way, where you can hands-on learn this beautiful science, and then you can go to your own chart, have a look at it, and know what your constitution is. You can find out whether you've got a fast metabolism or slow one, whether you've got great energies that are going to favor your decisions in a certain, in a certain camp. Like you might want to find a loved mate. You might want to know which signs to look for, in a partner. You see, if you belong to a masculine sign, an air or a fire sign, like Libra or Aries, you will find that the compatible signs for you will be air and fire. if you're a Capricorn or a Pisces, and you belong to those watery, earthy signs, you will find that the feminine, earthy signs are the most compatible for you. And things like this, or job careers, or even life path is shown in there. Your chart shows you what sort of friends to look for and what sort of enemies to look out for. It shows you what you did in the past life, whether you were, involved in esoteric teaching, or you may have been a thief or a killer. That's in your chart. It shows you how many children you're likely to have. It shows whether you need to look after your health. For instance, if you've got a malefic planet in the 6th house, you really, really need to look after your physical health. You might be a person that needs to look after their mental health. We find a lot of people ending up in psychiatric wards or taking medication and losing it. We call going insane, losing it. And that is simply because of an imbalance. All imbalances are manifested in your chart. Your chart is original, just like your thumbprint, just like your palm. This is why palm readers have so much success, because all of the lines and contours from the planets are in your palm. They're actually on your face too. You can read people's faces. You can read their signs on their faces. The other day, a woman wanted a chart read, and her sun sign was in Scorpio, but I saw her face was Libra. And so I said to her, before I even started with her details, I didn't know what her sign was because I hadn't heard her details. I said, I can see Libra there. And she had no idea what I was talking about because she didn't know that her ascendant was Libra. So she didn't know that Libra is, when she looks in the mirror and she sees those beautiful long vertical dimples on her face. See, I saw those vertical dimples on her face. And my son has those, and most Librans do. And so, and I said that, and she thought it was strange because she knew that she was Scorpio. So she thought, this guy's wrong. Caught him out. But see, it's not just the sun sign that gives you your looks. You see, I don't just look like an Aryan because my sun is in Aries. I also look like my Leo ascendant, the feline cat features, If I had $1 for all the people who said, Santos, if you were an animal, you would be a cheetah or a panther. So, I could be a millionaire because my ascendant is Leo. So I'm going to look like some kind of a cat. And when you look at all of the people that you know that have a Leo ascendant or a Leo sign, you will unmistakably see feline features. Because, as the great astrologer said, those particular signs give you features. Libra, Virgo, Aquarius, and Gemini do not have animals in them. Therefore, those people least resemble their, animalistic kingdom. They have more of the human features. You see, Aquarians, all things being equal, they will look more humane. But you see, some people, you notice, oh boy, they look like their signs. Taurians, wow. Well, if they haven't got bovine eyes, the Venus eyes, those beautiful long eyelashes, and they've got these nice flappy ears like a cow and thick necks, because Taurus is the second sign and it rules the lower part of the head. Therefore, 90% of Taurians, you can see their necks are prominent. Arians like myself have prominent heads. Geminians have prominent arms. You see, their arms are always, what's with their hands? You can pick them from in a crowd from a mile away. You see Geminians' hands just flickering all over the place, their little Gemini hands. And then you see Sagittarians, they've got these big, massive, strong hips. Bruce Lee was a Sagittarian, and if you were in his way when he kicked, when he jumped up and did those kicks, you would have some fractured bones because those guys have got massive thighs, or hippos. We call them hips, yeah? But and the same thing applies for all the signs. So what a marvelous science that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really good stuff. I mean, I've heard of so many, I've actually went into readings myself, and they say that the ascending sign is quite important for you. I mean, I'm personally a Virgo with ascending Sagittarius, and I've looked into it myself. I was actually listening closely to when you were doing the analysis on Dom. You were trying to ask him about the hour that he was born and things like that. And when I was researching online, it's true, there is some features that come across, in your body. Like you said, if you're a Gemini, it would be, your arms or, whatever. I mean, you can kind of tell these features. I mean, I'm starting to slowly pay attention. Not so much before, maybe 2-3 years ago, I was quite skeptical, but now I'm slowly paying attention to these things.
Yeah, and if you look at yourself in the mirror, since you have a sun sign in immutable and your ascendant is immutable, you will find your face will show asymmetrical features. You'll find that one eye will tend to go to a different direction than the other eye. You'll find that your nose is going slightly to either the right or the left in an opposite direction to your chin. Geminians, Virgoans, ruled by Mercury, often have this. I see it all the time. I never fail to pick a Geminian, and I usually have a lot of success with Virgoans because of this. The skewed facial features, because of the two-ness of those signs. They are bicorporeal, and you will have. Having two mutable signs in your chart will give you a nice advantage in terms of being faster mentally with your wits than other people. Use that advantage. George Carey, the great biochemical astrologer, said, never wager a bet against the Sagittarian because you're going to lose. They're too quick. Their minds are fast and flittery. They can run rings around the rest.
Santo, may I just a quick one? With the multidimensional consciousness and the compression of the chakra points into the body to contain the 12 chakra points rather than working on the first 7 as compression takes place, would not all the signs become as one? Would not all the advantages and disadvantages become the same?
Absolutely, because it's like the solar system, made up of various parts, but it's one heliosphere. The same with the body. The 12 chakras or the 7 chakras. There's always 7 and 12. And if you'll find that when you watch Prima Fields, I hope everybody listening will watch that and you will understand everything from there, how light works, astrology, etc. But the important thing you will learn in part 3, you will learn that the reason why the violet chakra at the top of your head is different to the red chakra at the bottom is because their respective photons are different size. All photons are different size. They're not all the same size. Now, the violet photon is very small and high vibrating. The red one is very big and slow vibrating. That's why when you see the prism, like the one that Pink Floyd had on their Dark Side of the Moon album, and you notice that those 7 colors, they all refract at a different angle. The violet color refracts at a more acute angle than the red in both instances. As the light enters the prism and as it exits, you'll notice the entry angle of the violet is sharper and the exit angle is sharper than the red. And that's because the photon is so small and fast vibrating that as soon as its 2 fields are picked up as they go through the glass, they are also refracted because of the drag on the field. And so you will see in Prima Fields, the laboratory tests and the graphics, how he explains that those small fields, these beautiful little photons that are violet, when their fields hit glass, they refract so sharply because their energy is so strong. And so they have a sharp refraction angle. And so, but the vibration of the violet is something like 420, I think. It's 420 hertz. You can double check that. But the bottom one is 740, and you can double check that too. So that's a lot of, man, that's a big differential there. 420 up the top of the head and somewhere around 800 at the bottom of the body. So, but all of those numbers, when you look at those numbers carefully, and I've looked at them just fleetingly, but I noticed already, because I don't have to go, when you have the keys, which is precession, and all of the numbers of precession, then when you see numbers, you can just automatically fit them into their place. They just all fit in. And I saw those numbers, and I can guarantee you that they are precessional numbers, which answers your question. Yes, all of the chakras all belong to one uniform oneness.
Brilliant, thanks, man. I kind of knew the answer to the question, but I really knew you'd explain it far better than I could. Anyway, with questions, Prajna, and then we've got Odin. I won't call him Odwin. I keep calling him Odwin. I got it right this time, Odin. So, Prajna, if you want to put a question over there, I know Santos, I keep saying your name wrong there, mate. Santos' time's precious, so if you want to fire ahead, Prajna, please do. And Callie, sorry.
And Callie, yeah. I think it's all fascinating stuff. All this one people's public trust, everything is all wonderful. But as I asked earlier in the questions, if we're up against lawless and corrupt people, why are we expecting any justice from the system? Don't we have to just show people that, these are the same people that ignore all international law, do whatever they please, the courts are theirs, everything is theirs.
Absolutely. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. But then again, I think to myself, are we going to just stand by and let these renegades just do that to our mothers and future children?
No, but I want to know how. I want to know how things like one people's public trust is going to change that. Because there are 1,001 things starting up. There's political parties starting up. There's all kinds of lawful banks and all kinds of bits and pieces. Everybody out to try and hang on to what they've got and to get more if they possibly can do. And what they should be doing is looking everywhere that we're clashing with this oppressive police state throughout the whole world, wherever clash, wherever any individual clashes with that system, everyone else should step in behind and say, hey, no, your system can't do that in our society. We don't oppress people in our society. Yeah?
Yes. And
all this thing about money, everybody's out to say, well, we'll do away with the money system, we'll have a barter system, and we'll have this system, and somehow I've got to trade my skills with your skills. You don't have to do that. Just do what we do. Just never charge anyone anything for anything ever. Yeah?
Exactly.
It's never, if I don't tax anyone, then who can tax me? Yeah. All of our existential needs need to be absolutely free. It used to be the way in the world. It's only recently things have changed. People aren't even aware of quite how recently it is that things have changed. You can still go to places, the Bedouins, if you turn up at a Bedouin tribe, then they will give you something to eat, and they'll give you somewhere to sleep, and they'll give you what you need. And people, I was brought up in New Zealand, and New Zealand was just far enough back behind the times that the same sort of thing could happen in New Zealand if you needed help. Yeah. Someone would step forward and help. And this is if I do everything for free, if I see someone has a need and it's something I can fulfill and I do it, then everything works, does it not?
It's the only currency that exists, brother, and we will default to it eventually. In the meantime, I guess I'm with you.
Why not now? Do you know?
Well, exactly. It's now.
Yeah. When we use language like eventually, then we put everything off until later. We need to cut that sort of speech out of our language and say now, do it now.
And outgoing should be from our heart and not from our wallet. You know, this is where it should be. You know, we were taken off the road because we refused to pay any road tax. Yeah, and
we live on the road, so that's a bit of an imposition, on really.
The road, so,
yeah, good stuff. What a way to go! Best way to go.
Yeah, do you know? I used to cost the state £2,500 a year. That was it. That was the whole sum total of what I cost everybody else. Yeah, and now they've taken us off the road and we're involved in all kinds of court cases and there's all the fucking legal aid and there's all this time from policemen and fucking all kinds of stuff and councils and DVLA and all kinds of people are wasting hundreds and thousands of man hours on this. And at one point, the enforcement office down at Chester Council.
Santos, can I just warn you, you will need a fish slice to get back into the conversation. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Right, well, thanks for warning me that. Odin Wild. Odin's been waiting really patiently to get in and say hello, if nothing else. I do suspect he might have a question. Not last and not least, because I've got about another 35 all lined up, but hey, we'll be fair with it. Odin, please, if you would.
Hi there. Thanks, Bob. Santos, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Santos, Odin Wildhunt here. I've been looking to speak with you for quite some considerable amount of time, but I never managed to catch up with you during my innings on another radio station that you were at there last year. I just want to say I really appreciate all your efforts, all of the efforts that you've made over a very extended period of time. I think that you're making a massive change, but it's not just yourself, it's all the efforts made all around the globe. Basically, I think if I've got a question, I've got quite a few actually, to help maybe the newcomers who are coming to this particular radio site, who are, I think, asking genuine questions, but waking up this year, say, rather than say 6 or 7 or 10 years ago. Maybe I could ask, because I've got some personal friends who also know all about trust, law, legislation, courts, equity, and what money actually is in great detail. And then they suddenly they can get off onto elements of spirituality and who you are, and then hinge that into the outer stratospheres and alien life, UFOs, etc. How come that is? Why is that the case? Why is there a link?
Yes. Because a sovereign, you see what's happening in the sovereignty movement. You see there's all kinds of people coming through, waking up on that level. Then all of a sudden that opens, because you see our 7 chakras, they are all 7 different consciousness levels. And so as you wake up on one level, another level is there waiting above that to be awoken to. And see, some people are, they've got all the 7 chakras opened up and they've got all the levels, you see. Other people, they've just come out of perhaps a yuppie job. They've just worked out that everything's corrupt and they've seen, they've done a little bit of research and opened their eyes, and all of a sudden they pop out of those lower 3 chakras. They're in the heart chakra, and basically they've just escaped mind control and they've woken up. But they've woken up on one level, and then another level comes and there's another level and another level. And what you realize is that the sovereignty is not just for your body. It's also for your emotions, for your spirit, for your intellect, for your intuition, for your soul, because we are a composite creature. We're not just a bunch of Darwinian evolved inert inanimate matter, and then all of a sudden we've got a side effect called a mind and all of these emotions and all these side effects. It's the other way around. The cause is giving us these things and then waiting for us to free ourselves, like as radioactivity does, free itself from the stone kingdom. So we also are freeing ourselves from conditioned consciousness. The seven chakras are actually 7 conditions, as Manly P. Hall puts it, and they are conditions on our consciousness. And as we unlock the bottom chakra, we unlock that condition. We have escaped that condition. We've escaped that particular prison down there in red hell. And then we go to orange hell, then yellow hell, and then we go to green. If you look at the green chakra, it mimics the earth. It's a green garden. Then you look at the blue chakra above the green chakra, that mimics the blue sky. And then the 2 above that are inside the head are purple and violet, or indigo and violet. And violet is that high vibrating heaven. It's been described as the purple colour of heaven. This is why your cardinals and your pope wears purple. All that dignified royal... Yeah, purple, because of the purple chakras. But see, the red fear, low vibrating chakra is really the one that most people are in. But see, what happens there... Explain all this. I did a show with Jordan Maxwell. Explain this astrotheology. Those 7 colours, as I said, if you're standing in the heart chakra, you're standing on earth. And the heart chakra is the middle chakra. It is known as the Midgard, or the Midgard in Scandinavian, Midgarden. So this is indicating, the chakra system is actually indicating to us where we should be. We should have our feet on the green earth with our eyes looking up to the blue sky, because we heaven bound, not bound.
If I could just ask you that, and by the way, just pretty well every time I listen to you, you're very inspirational indeed. I know Irene in Canada, and she's actually asked me with regard to more detail for the One People's Public Trust as well recently, and she's been trying her own personal thing for a long time, trying to find solutions. So back basically to law and legislation. You basically coined it. What we're up against here is a very dangerous psychopathic nature of not just the people in charge, but obviously the civilians on the lower end, all over the world, but certainly in the UK here, Santos, and I know in New Zealand, Vincent Eastwood's, they're experiencing all the same with people who believe they have the power, in inverted commas, to basically lay their hands on you and hurt you and involve themselves in your life. And take away your freedoms, basically. And it's extremely, they're clearly very, very desperate right now, With regard to integration of maybe some of the documents that are online, even for myself, how would one maybe go about doing that for people who, because every single weekday that passes, there are court cases going on. It was very interesting what Prajna was just saying, because he's made a very good point there. It's quite remarkable for the low cost that he was formerly, but there is no cost because money is created out of fiction. It stuns me how many people can't actually see that politicians over here get up and talk about money's suddenly made available to the tune of 850 million for an arms sale, and yet people are dying in the streets here, and he's supposed to be taken seriously. And this the very psychopathic nature. Now, clearly they're carrying on. Also, I picked up on a video there the other day, linked with yours, that Max Egan was explaining that I actually missed it, but Queen Beatrice there is also stepping down. I'd like to think that the efforts of everybody globally have made, and they must be making a positive change, or do you think that this is somewhat of a planned move for this point in time between the two, the Pope and Queen Beatrix, and they are moving in their players in some way. It's just. Hang on a second.
It's a bit of both. It is a bit of both. They know the timing. They know the skies. They know the heavens. They know as above as below, and they know that they cannot continue an oppressive rule under Aquarius, Uranus, and Saturn. Under Jupiter, you can do that. He's a tyrant. Pisces is a tyrant energy. Not on a physical, not on an individual level. If you're Piscean, I've got a Pisces moon, but not on that level. But I'm talking about as a sign, as an element for the race. For the race, it is a cruel, a priestly, tyrant sign, and in particular in its position just before Aquarius on the precessional year, it is that period of time where you actually put the gold in the furnace to extract the impurities. We are being purified. Now, in the elite control world, not everybody there is evil. A lot of those people are trapped. They've been traumatized. A lot of people have been grown up in elite families where they've actually had severe mind control, and they have carers, not carers, what do they call them? The people who look after them and make sure that they don't fall out of step.
Handlers.
Handlers, yeah. And they really are being watched, and they know that if they step out of line, man, they are going to lose their heads. So there's a lot of good people above also. This is not just a grassroots thing from below. It's not just we, the humble people down here, that see all this corruption and we're going to do it. It's the whole universe. It will be as from above. We will have great helpers coming from the very, very top echelons, as we are already seeing, and as we will see much, much more. They will change sides, because they know that they not only do they have to, which is the worst way to change sides, but also it's the best thing to do. They've known it for a long time that they should have done it, but now is the perfect opportunity, because now they don't have. Their plug has been pulled off the wall, just like an electric fan. You pull it out and it stops slowly, starts winding down, and that's what their system is now. The plug's been pulled out. That was on the 21st of December 2012, and now it's like there's still a little bit of energy in that fan. It's still going, but it's over.
Santos, I did want to ask you, I don't know if you've been asked this before, but with regard to that, the clear and obvious gameplay of ratcheting up the desperation all around the world, which is clearly working, and there's people dying in the streets and fighting, protesting, everything. Those who are sitting back peacefully and challenging any way they can, they're really wanting something to snap, something to change. Now, how about the powers that be actually do still have a lot of high-tech availability and would still maybe be planning such like Project Bluebeam, holographic, it won't be over one day, of course, it'd be a permanent, persistent kind of illusion to give out the fact of which at this point in time, I must say that some millions around the world would go for that hook, line and sinker. Are you aware of any of that at all? Santos?
Whoops, I was on mute. Yeah, I am aware of that.
Okay.
Absolutely, I'm aware of that. And they do have a lot of technology that we are not aware of. We know that they do have machines that are able to transport them to other planets in the solar system and elsewhere. We know that they have that. We know they have had it all the time, actually. That's how they've controlled us, because they've been able to leap into the future, and they have always had superior technology. Yeah. Always. Yeah.
Just to interject. Sorry, guys. Odin, you might want to look at Keshi's work with the Iranian government. He's been given some grants by Ahmadinejad. I don't know if you've heard, but in one case, a spy drone was infiltrating the Iranian airspace. They actually interjected this spy drone with this technology they have. The technology he was talking about actually can replicate, amazing lights And what we were talking about earlier with Santos with gravitational fields, he's actually given this technology away to them, and he's kind of funded his work, given him resources and money, and they've essentially produced the same thing in Iran.
I was just about to mute my mic. Just give me the name of the. Thank you very much for that input. Just give me that name again. That was new to me, I must say.
Yeah. The foundation is called Keshe Foundation.
Keshe, is that Q?
Keshe.
SHE. Okay, yeah.
And you can also find, if you just Google in UFO technology captures US spy drone Iran airspace.
Yeah. Thanks. I will. And just one final, I'll mute because someone else can maybe ask Santos some questions. And thank you, Santos, and thank you, Malek, for that. Is there a Stargate? There is some connection. There's a Stargate in Iran. I came across that information a long time ago. There's some kind of relationship on the very highest end, the reasoning why there's battleships and stuff down in Iran, why Iran is the focus. It's more than just nuclear, I think. I'll mute my mic, okay?
Oh, yeah, it is. Ahmadinejad, he is one of those leaders that is very, very controversial because you always have to remember, friends, please do, that in the last 300 or 400 years, or at least 200 years, the media has been controlled by a banking force. No big secret for most of you guys, but they have distorted history. They have distorted everything. So what they've taught us in history is absolutely erroneous, and they will go after a guy like Ahmadinejad, and it's the banksters. There's only one person, there's only one entity that is against such a man, because he simply will not allow his government to be enslaved by the world banks, like Gaddafi before him, like Saddam Hussein, and same thing in Syria and North Korea. Those guys, those guys just don't want to enslave their people. Now, they might still be despots and, they might be a little bit fascist and, still have a controlling hand, but it's a different beast than the New World Order beast, that's for sure. And there have been tyrants of nations that have not been kind to their people. But that's another different thing altogether. This New World Order thing, this is just an aberration beyond comparison. And this is why they went after Hitler too. Hitler was maligned. As I said before, nothing is all evil as they paint Hitler to be. He's as bad as Hitler. They say things like that. These expressions come from the banksters because they well know that Hitler was a threat to their empire. Because for as good or evil as Hitler was, there's so much misinformation. For a start, he hated the banking world of the West. He brought Germany back to full power with their own money, printed by their own treasury. And it wasn't Hitler that started any kind of a war against any Jew. It was the Jews, so-called Zionist bankers, that started a Jewish war against Germany to try and destroy Germany twice. But Germany's such a great nation, such a powerful people, these Aryan, bold people, lovers of freedom, that they managed to still be one of the strongest countries in the world, even though the British with the French and the Americans and even the Vatican really did conspire to try and destroy that. But anyone who tries to make something of their own money, like Abraham Lincoln and JFK, Gaddafi, out. Yeah. And then 10 years later, they used their other media outlets and network to make those great saviors to look like evil people. Easy to do.
With total control of the media, absolutely. And actually, just one more question as well.
Hang on, Odin. The idea of a round table, Odin.
Okay.
So people can ask a question and everybody gets a go. And you will get another go, but hey, come on. 1, 2.
Okay. Thank you, Santos. It's a pleasure.
We'll talk over one of Odin. Yeah, even when you're agreeing, that's why we asked to mute the microphone. It'll clip the audio and the listener can't hear you. That's why I'm a bit pedantic. I want the listeners to be able to hear all of you speaking. I do think Dom might still be there, and he might want to throw another question in. Am I right?
You talking to me?
I was talking to you, Mr. Patient.
Mister, do you have any proof that I have for such a thing as a legal title?
No, but the evidence is about definitely patient.
No, I was just listening in the background while replying to the comments from tonight's show. But like the only thing I did catch hold of earlier on was what Santos was saying about Sagittarians, and if you get into an argument with a Sagittarian, we tend to use our skills very, very well. And I don't like arguing with anyone, but if people do drag me down that road, that's their fault.
Yeah, Sagittarians is very similar to their opposite sign, Gemini. Both masculine. One is air, one is fire. One has to do with mental and spiritual. One has to do with intuitive. So air and fire are very similar. What Geminians have is two minds. What Sagittarians have is two natures. And so you've got this divine human nature, and as others have, we all have an animal nature, our bodies. But this divine thing is coming through in a Sagittarian. So you can't really fool them that quickly, because there's not one thing you have to fool, there's two. So they've got a sounding board inside themselves. All the mutable guys do. That's why the mutable signs are there. It is there to give us duality, so that we can have, so we can hear ourselves speaking, so we can we can watch ourselves acting, so we don't act rudely, and we can control our actions. That's why we have this beautiful human faculty. But the mutable signs are the neutral signs, which actually give people that extra human factor. But definitely Geminians and Sagittarians are very quick-witted, and Virgoans, and I wouldn't mess with them.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've got into many arguments speaking my truth, and I wish everyone well that does attack me or whatever, but I'm not shy to an argument, and I should back down from them more than I get involved in them, and I am guilty of that. But the thing is, it's like even yesterday I went to this thing in London called Reclaim Love, and that was what it's supposed to be about, is resonating in love and things like that. But lo and behold, the ex-copper that strangled me at Occupy was down there, and the only time that he approached me was when I was talking to two fine sergeants of the Metropolitan Police, and it was a great chat. And I had a few friends around me that have known me for a few years, and a couple of other people there. But he decided to butt in and said, don't listen to him, he's full of bullshit. And it was like, well, you can either believe me because I'm speaking the truth, or you can listen to this man who has strangled me for speaking the truth. And he's an ex-copper. He hasn't told you like that, has he? And that's when it sort of like kicked off, and he's given us all this rubbish, and this crap came out. But it got to the point of, I just thought, hang on a minute, I don't need to be in this position. And I held up a picture in front of my face and said, I don't even need to look at you. So he ripped the picture out of my hand and screwed it up and threw it on the floor. And it's just like, I walked away at that point, because there's no point getting involved with people like that. I come from a background where you've got to learn street cred pretty quickly and deal with people on the spot. And I don't want to go down the route of having a punch up with anyone. I see people as my brothers and sisters, even to the point of, I believe in self-defense and things like that. But what is the point on resonating that fear and anger on someone else?
This is how we silence the fools. So you were able to silence these authoritative types that come around and ridicule. You silence them with facts and love and proof. I mean, why should we continue in this world to let so many morons occupy the platforms and vomit their stupidities about emptinesses which lead to nowhere, like Al Gore and Barack Obama and all of these political types? When they speak either emptinesses or stupidities. They speak from a script which is written by the banks to tell us what we should think and how much we should bend over for these politicians, etc. They have no originality, and we should be, with our wisdom and the knowledge that we have of law and divine things, we silence them with proofs of, with facts and proofs and information and knowledge and understanding and wisdom. That's what syncretism is all about, which is what I'm doing. It's all about true information, true science for a change, rather than, manufactured science, which causes a whole medical industry of so-called doctors to tell you that we are so smart, but we still only have treatments and they cost a lot. Whereas nature's saying, oh, wait a minute, hang on, you've got cures and they're free. And how do we silence these fools? With evidences, with proofs. I made presentations. I started making presentations. I packed them with evidences and references and proofs and stuff. There's none of my opinions. There's not me standing there going, oh, this is what I think and this is what. I'm just pointing to all the facts. They are all there, all the books, all the references, and that's how you silence them. They can never speak after you've silenced them properly. And it is our duty to do so. Don't think it's not. And Dom, if you think you're arguing, you're not. You're actually helping people because you're a very wise man and never hold back. Doesn't matter if a policeman comes along and tries to debunk you. Doesn't matter if a fool says, oh, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. Talk. Get on the rooftop. If they try and silence you and you're on the ground, jump on a roof, then talk. Keep going, man. There's no stopping. And well, it's our duty. The Bible commands it too. It says, silence the fool, when he seeks to persuade other stupid people.
Well, I've looked deeply at my life through doing this and what's happened in my life in the past few years. And the thing is, I've questioned what I'm doing to the point of, do I need to be doing it? Should I quit? Blah, blah, blah. But how can I quit being me? That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, that's very good of you to, notice yourself that you do get into arguments and stuff like that. But you just don't know, brother, how many people you've helped. How many people you've helped. I would never shut up. I would never, ever shut up anywhere, anytime. Truth has got to be said.
Yeah, well, this is the whole thing. This is why most of us do this sort of path, I suppose. There are people out there that are doing it, for other reasons than to help humanity. But I know why I do it, and I do want this enslavement on humanity, the way they've corrupted things and taken that humanity away from the people and created the persons and this whole corporate system. I've watched in my lifetime humanity be stripped, and this is from things like these, even from little things, from little corner shops all the way up to now it's all supermarkets, and people go to supermarkets because they're cheaper. People are getting less and less money, but prices of things are going up. It's just enslaving every level until the people right at the top have just got everybody doing everything for them now.
Can I jump in there, Santos? As above, so below. What appears to be the top is not really the top. As above, so below. It's a polarity, but once you reach the singularity, you can see that neither side is divided. The actual dark has no problem with the light, and the light had never had a problem with the dark. It's the middleman, and we've been put into the position of the middleman by using techniques. And I'm not saying go and use all Santos techniques. I've used other people's techniques which have worked for me. Find your own working technique and become the unity between that was created in division. It isn't as hard as it sounds. It isn't that complicated. Find the things that work for you, practice them. Once you can do them, give them up. You don't require them anymore. It's brilliant. As far as I'm concerned, people said about, I think it was Odin said, did Santos think that it had made a difference, people's work around the world? Well, I tell you what, from where I'm sat, we are the difference. I am the difference. It's made a difference for me, and I'm part of it. And I know a hell of a lot of people who are beginning to recognise that. They really are. We are actually the change, or should I say, I am the change. Each and every one of us is part of it, regardless of the position we presume. My favourite thing at the moment, especially when now Dom's coined it of me, is just stop the thinking. Thinking does not serve us. Many people seek ascension, where that is right beneath you. You're not going to find it by trying to leave. You have to get into your physical before you could leave it. I resonate really well with what Santos said about reincarnation. Only if they were so lucky, I would suggest at the end of the cycles that will end, that will cease, and we will discover what we need to discover on a personal level in the lifetimes that we have here, which are very fleeting. They really are. I am very proud to be introduced to such wonderful people from such diverse positions. Yeah, I am, dare I say the word, honoured. And this is my church. These are my people. You're my brothers and sisters. We cannot be stopped, because I am but one. And together, we are a force that is to be reckoned.
Hear, hear. Wonderful. Wonderful. And you hit it on the head with the word singularity. If we are able to reach that consciousness, the unity consciousness, then duality consciousness is a breeze. It's a breeze. It's a breeze to work out what good and evil is really, really what it is. It's all two extensions of one good thing, and that's the fulcrum. And that's why we can have this conversation and know that all things will work out eventually, because that fulcrum is really what's controlling the two actors, the two dualistic fields of electricity. And this is what Walter Russell says. He says that scientists and people and scientists alike are buying into their five senses, and that's all they do. That's it. That is their whole area of observation of reality. And what a mistake that is. And the elitists, they know this. They know that the senses are powerful and that people are so subjected to them that they teach only to the senses, only what's been discovered in the laboratory according to the senses, and they don't go into knowing. This is why when you said that we should stop thinking, this is beautiful. This is wonderful. Of course we should stop thinking. We should go into knowing, to our true nature, which knows all things. Thinking interferes that. It creates interference patterns, really. And this is why the Bible talks about having pure thoughts. It's not talking about goody two-shoes. Oh, I'm having good thoughts. I'm not thinking anything sexual. I'm not thinking anything this, that, or the other. I'm pure little angel here. It doesn't mean that. A pure thought means to have a pure connected thought that doesn't get chopped up. Pretty much like when you're downloading a 1 hour YouTube film, you don't want it to stop every 3 seconds because your internet's pretty poor. That's an impure feed. If you get a pure feed with a real thick, big internet and a thick feed coming into your internet, you can download movies and everything, and you can watch them as they download. Okay, that's pure. And see, our thoughts should be like that. The problem with people is they are so distracted that they think about things for about 2-3 seconds, then it gets hard, they can't find the answer, and they stop, and they never go back to that question again because it's too scary, and they haven't got an answer, and they haven't got time. But if only we think things through. That's the difference between a good song and a bad song. The songs that make it, that are really, really good, that make it, they are well-cooked songs, well-created, well-produced songs, fully developed, and then they're released and they're good and they have success. The same should be with our thoughts. Problem is, people can't, they don't spend enough time with themselves and meditate long enough to actually think for more than 10 seconds. When you can hold a thought for 10, 20 seconds, that's a pure thought. Those are pure thoughts because they are pure and they give answers. but only if you think things through. If you stop before you thought it through, you will not get an answer. Imagine you go play golf and you only swing halfway because you're too scared where the ball might end. Yeah? Well, you've got it. They tell you, swing through with your hands, go right through that thought, and then the ball's going to go somewhere, goddammit. Same with our thoughts. Why are people thinking a little bit about important things and mostly about football, sex, let's go out on Saturday night, and all of this other stuff. Money, how many jobs can you get? Some people think it's virtuous. Oh, I've got 3, I'm doing 3 jobs. I'm working 20 hours, 3, and they're proud of it kind of thing. I think they're stupid.
No, they'll be right, mate. They'll be right, mate, for sure. I don't think they are, man. I don't think they are stupid. I think they may not have reached a state within the consciousness that some of us have experienced. I think we're all in it together. You hear it? I think. I'm actually lying. I haven't actually had a thought in my consciousness. I can't even tell you. I can't tell you when I had a thought. It don't work like that for me. It hasn't for a while. I worked under a guy. Well, not worked. Well, it was work, really. It was hard work. I did I followed the techniques of John Armitage and his self-empowerment 13 attunements, the 12D system, which is basically a natural healing system. I'm not saying that'll work for everyone, but it definitely worked for me. I don't need to meditate. I am meditating. I don't need to put myself under. I've always been under. I'm not resisting it. So my thoughts are coming out of my head. They used to. They used to come in there. I processed them. I had an intention of something. I could get to a presence of that, but it had no words. It could not speak. It was just a presence. I couldn't hear it if it did speak. And through those techniques, I realised to recognise myself in the moment. It was the most terrifying experience I've ever had. It was like I was a tiny boy being introduced to this angry, annoyed, vicious man. That's what I've become. When I looked upon that child that I truly am within my consciousness, I terrified myself. It took me a long time to be able to bring myself at peace with that child, the child that I was, my consciousness. Many would call this the child within. Of course, I now know my consciousness did not grow. When you are in a state of fear or protection or assault in your mind, then you do not learn, you do not develop. So my consciousness is very young indeed. However, this does not mean that I have now not got the body of a 49-year-old man. But I do not seem to need to go through the processing that most people do within their consciousness. It would appear, and I do not know, but it would appear that they are projecting into this place called the future because they are not happy with themselves in the moment. And they look out towards others and say they are bad and wrong and evil or lost. But they are not. We are. We are for perceiving that. We are part of it. If they are weaker or less developed, then we are thinking that of them. And that's what they would become. Which is only, as you would say, a thought.
Yeah.
But I did not think of any of this while I was speaking it.
Yeah. Yeah, those ones that are still lost in the material world and fully convinced that commerce is okay. That's us in another life, and they are our brothers, and they are still dealing with their bottom chakras, and eventually they will go through that Jacob's ladder and find the singularity and acknowledge the consciousness, as you said, that has always been there, that childlike consciousness that is always there, it never changes. But what happens is, before the child is 7 years of age, of course, the system wants to grab that child, put him through the schooling already, dumb him down, throw him in a class of children. Sunday school, they throw them in the class of other children too, dumb them down, teach them the opposite of what is true. It looks like it's true, but it's not, and mislead a few people, then they've got cognitive dissonance, because already they came to this planet with consciousness. They were already conscious, which means you must have truth. Consciousness is truth. So little children, what a betrayal to put them through the school system and deliberately dumb them down, knowing that that is happening, knowing that there's knowledge that they're not getting that is life-saving, that can really transform them into responsible, good little children, so that they can contribute and be wonderful and realize their own full potential in everything they do in life. How sad it is that the system knows that it's betraying those little children already, just by the system, let alone all the other accidentals that poor little children have to undergo in this system.
Right, I don't want to be taking up all your time, man. We just got in a bit of a roll there, didn't we? So anybody else, please? First blue light gets it. No, they're all muted.
Yeah,
there we go. Malek, go on, man.
Hi, Santos. I just wanted to bring it back to the lawful thing again. I don't know if you've ever heard of a gentleman in Canada called Robert Menard. He was talking about the Freeman movement. I think it started off for him because something happened with his child, got taken away, so it kind of struck him to start this whole thing up. Now, I messaged him quite a lot on Facebook about the whole movement, because I was quite skeptical. And he's been kind enough to kind of show me the directions to get transcripts of where the high courts have been in favour for people who have gone through with this, where where people have had foreclosures that or they're travelling, as they say, rather than driving, where they're not in the act of commerce, they haven't taken submission or plead to the government in order to have these rights which were given to them in the first place. There's different procedures where he even talks about how to speak in the courts, and they will try everything to bring you into their jurisdiction and what have you. I wanted to ask, is there anything like this happening in Australia? Have you seen any people try this out there? And if so, has there been any credible cases or transcripts? I mean, it would be lovely if we could kind of bring this into an international thing. I mean, that's why one of my questions before was court of record, because I think some of these guys in Canada and America are trying to, take these guys essentially out of their positions, so that they're not protected by their corporation anymore, and they put them in standing as a, just a natural human being, the accuser against, I mean, is there anything like this in Australia or anything like this happening out there, similar cases?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of great individuals here that are very, very conscious and trying to improve the situation in that respect, bringing it to the attention of Australians that we've been hoodwinked. Wonderful product released recently. Have you seen the video? It's an hour long, called What the Fuck, F-U-K. Frequently... what the... Hang on. Anyway, Scott... gentleman by the name of Scott... I forget his name right now, but he made a beautiful video. You need to check it out. What the F-U-K. Scott Bartle, that's it. Now, there's guys like that. There's quite a few people that have communities that are getting together to bring to the attention of these people, these so-called authorities, that everything they're doing is wrong. And I did mention the group that is tackling Agenda 21 here in Melbourne. They also made a video. Check that one out. It's perfect, brilliant. It's called Pirates of the Suburbs. Pirates of the Suburbs. Hang on, let me just get this for you, because I don't want you to get the wrong product here. This is very important. And the other video that I'd like to bring to your attention that you might want to see is the young gentleman who, I think it was in Ireland, he managed to film a couple of bailiffs or sheriffs come to his door, and then the police came and actually helped the gentleman against the bailiffs. The police actually stood up for the law. It's a 20-minute video. I'll find the name of that one in a minute. But for now, I want to find...
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, if you could just spell the name of the gentleman you said about the video called What the Fuck UK. You said it was Scott something.
Scott Bartle. Let me get his...
Bartle, B-A-R. Bartle. Okay.
Bartle is, let me see, B-A-R-T-L-E.
T-L-E, okay.
Yep. And the other one is Pirates of the Suburbs Destroying Communities. Now, I interviewed this mob, this group of people that you've got to see this video. You really do. This is the best way to tackle Agenda 21 coming to all municipalities of the world. You see, they're cowards. They start with... They've started with one of the poorest municipalities in Melbourne and one of the biggest, Melton, in the western suburbs, and very, very poor, you see. So what they do is they implement Agenda 21, make some good changes. Other councils see those good changes and go, oh, wow, look what these guys have done. Let's introduce that into our... And so the richer areas then implement Agenda 21 and then immediately level everything out, don't they? They level everything out, so much to the point that they've rezoned some of the areas in Melton. People who were paying $1,000 of rates are now paying $19,000 of rates due to rezoning. So these guys have got nothing better to do than rezone, re-this, re-that, so that they never actually, it's funny how they never sort of go, hey, we've rezoned, and guess what? You don't have to pay rates anymore. It's a free zone. No, it's always one that goes from 1,000 to 100,000 or something like that, right? So I think we need to watch these people in action. It's only a 50-minute video, but you will love it.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's, really good videos. I mean, I'll check them out. I'll have a look. I mean, my aim is to try and collect as many evidence resources. I just want to maybe, see if we can pop this onto the platforms that people have online. I mean, I understand all the Commonwealth countries are in the same jurisdictions with common law, so is some other countries. And I've seen cases here in the UK, a gentleman called Richard Harrison and Peter of England. Now, there's some videos of him actually speaking to the policeman, saying to him, your car's deregistered, there's no number plates, and the policemen are confronting him, and they actually call the inspector. Now, this is a great video. The inspector comes down and advises these policy officers to step away and try not to do anything else. I mean, things like this are kind of a step for victory for me. If we can, show people that it can be done. I mean, there's even cases where Robert Menard's helping people out in New Zealand with these things. I mean, if we can get some sort of, platform where people can come together and get these resources, I think that would be a good way to, everyone to have the courage to kind of step out of the game, or step out of, calling the name game and things like that.
Well, it's happening right now. Right now, what are we doing? We're networking. We're learning. We know each other now. We're there for each other. This is what's happening right now. It is happening. This phenomena was not around 4 years ago. I don't know whether any of you guys were participating in any kind of Skype conversations like this. I certainly wasn't. But there's much more stuff now. Here's another great video, guys. The people versus the banks. That's the one I was talking about. A couple of lovely young Irishmen. Beautiful. People v. the banks - conviction beats eviction. This is what I was talking about before. Conviction beats eviction. See, you got to see the way these guys handle it's a 20-minute video. It's beautiful. But conviction is the other. See, it beats eviction. Eviction it's totally built on a fictional system, right? We know that. So, but conviction can beat it. In other words, knowledge. That's what I was saying before. Let us silence these corporations and persons and anyone who utters stupidity. Why should we tolerate it anymore? That's what's caused all this trouble. We've had 2,000 years of it, listening to mind-controlled, opinionated morons, rather than free, unopinionated, knowledgeable, and wise, aristocratic ones. Aristos means the best, by the way. That's what aristocracy meant once upon a time. But what happened to meritocracy? What happened in a meritocracy? George Bush can never become a president of anything because you need a brain and you need the merits.
Absolutely, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, they've stepped up into a place where they can, play or prey on us from a distance. It's I never knew that until I was enlightened about a year ago, that this whole thing about countries as a corporation, the United Kingdom is its own PLC. Thanks to John Harris, I've even got the actual company numbers of every single one, and with the whole thing with trust law, and that you need shareholders, and that's why you can get CEOs or presidents, and in a Republican that's completely different. And I was informed that originally the states of America were these kind of colonies, and they kind of grouped up together with this company through commerce to kind of merge everyone through the federal name. And if we can just kind of remember that and just step back out of it again, because the legislations are kind of taking everyone in another direction. We're I guess becoming more fearful through this. If we can just remember how it was before and how simple things are, we don't have to be subject to these things.
Momentary pause of quietness. It's lovely, isn't it? It's lovely. Well, I don't know if we have got any more questions there. Odin may have another one. I'm not too sure, going about land grab and stuff. I'll throw in, we've got about 17 minutes left. We have to draw the line somewhere, of course, else we'll just go on forever. So, yeah, I'll throw in Universal Commercial Code.
Yeah. Well, that's it. There it is. Universal Commercial. It says it all, doesn't it? Universal and commercial. So it was created because we've got seas and we've got separate little islands and lands, and we're all different common law jurisdictions. So the maritime jurisdiction was created. Mostly it sort of developed with all the trading, the East India companies and the Vatican behind that. And, of course, all of the exploration. You see, once upon a time, once when the controllers decided that they were actually going to go out and rape and steal the lands of all the indigenous peoples, it was a plan. It was fully a plan to do so. And they did carry it out, and it was a Vatican corporation. And evidence of that is that when Columbus came back to Portugal in 1493, they signed immediately a contract with the Pope, granting them all those lands in the contract in the Treaty of Tordesillas. So that's just one evidence. Who knows whatever else went on behind the scenes. But originally they were 13 companies which turned into 13 colonies, which are now states. Interesting, because a state is something totally different from a colony and a company. So, but actually it was 12. It wasn't 13. Remember that. 12 is the magic number. But anyway, and then another state joined, but because that state joined late, they always remember the 13. They forget the original 12. Now. And so UCC law really was to be able to, done properly, it's a great system. So a ship docks in the docking yard and needs to manifest all of his goods. So he gives a certificate, I think it's called of manifest or something like that, pretty much like the record of live birth. Anyway, so the captain comes off the ship, and so once he hands over that document, that certificate, then the people on the land know that they're contracting with UCC. Okay, so that's how they can collect all their monies, and that's how all those nations acknowledge that. So it's not evil. Well, it's good for some people. It's great, but it's just a thing. It's just an instrument, and that instrument, like a knife, can be used for, you can cut someone's throat or you can butter your bread with a knife. So these are instruments. It's no use calling them evil and so forth. They might have been written up with evil intent and to conquer and to control, but they're just statutes and laws and to facilitate trading over the seas. And by the way, People's Trust have perfected their trust and use common law, UCC, and I don't know whether anyone else can help me, but there's another third form of law which they subscribe to. But I know common law, natural law, of course. So they subscribe to natural law over and above all of the human laws, but common law and UCC is still acceptable in People's Trust.
Right, so universal commercial code, no matter what happens to us, they still carry on paying one another for their goods.
Yeah. Otherwise known as Admiralty, because the admirals were sent over the waters. You see, the Queen couldn't.
Yeah.
King. Yeah. So you always see this assigning inferior agents down the line, all the way down the line, so that in the end it's we with our licenses and our registrations that are also working for them. It's funny, they've conscripted everybody unbeknownst to them. That's the sad thing. When you pull out your license, when the cop pulls you up over on the road and says, "Can I see your ID?" he just wants to know that he can kick your butt with your permission, because he wants to see your rank. And your rank is, you idiot, you've got a license to drive? All right, then I'm going to kick your butt because I'm a constable or whatever other badges and names they have. So you see, we've all been conscripted, but the thing is, even the top people are conscripted. The Pope cannot escape this system either. So everyone has been enslaved. It's not just a portion. So it's no use we complaining. The Pope will also have to face the same rules that he has been, Ratzinger has spent 40 years writing rules and books and codes. I think he was even involved with Vatican II in 1962. I think he was, and someone might be able to correct me on that, but he's been around for a good 4 solid decades writing information laws and statutes and rubbish that favours their control and pedophilia. He has been a structural component of the wickedness that has become of the Vatican, Ratzinger. He has really given them a lot of their evil, so-called evil structure.
Well, we can go all the way back to the 1949s and beyond with the German rat lines and so forth, but that's a complete another show. Odin, Wild, please, if you would, sir. We've only got about 10 minutes, but the floor's yours.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Santos. Actually, what you just mentioned, Bob, was along the lines of the question I was going to ask Santos a while back. I don't know if we really have the time for it now. Santos, basically, I just wanted to ask you if you personally, I'll structure the question, if you personally can see the evidence of a method in the madness with regard to the perpetual wars at this point in time around the world, in the governing and making and shaping of 3 very specific controllable global areas, which would of course include the meltdown of the purposeful melting down of a banking system and the bringing together of, say, 3 banks in those central areas in the part of both Europe and the entirety of the African continent. It would be Europe. And above those, of course, the IMF, the World Bank, and the United Nations.
What was the question? Because you asked it at the first, and I just forgot the actual.
Okay, I'll basically. I know, I can see it unfolding in front of my very eyes, because I've studied that the method in their madness at this point in time, through to at least 2050, is to at least create a North American Union, which I would actually believe not only includes Mexico, Canada, and North America, but actually Central America and South America as well, as one controllable clump for the future. China and Russia in one, and the entirety of the North Africa and Middle East, which is the 5-year war that's now currently going on for control. There is, in point of fact, a method to the madness. You're seeing a clearing out, a genocide worldwide, because they actually have a plan to covet those areas in the future. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh, yeah. That's what European imperialism was all about 500 years ago, stealing their gold and silver and all their diamonds and stuff, because they're too, according to them, of course, they're too dumb to realize what goods they've got. So they help themselves to that. Yeah, there has been a method to the madness. The method is for these controlling families, since everybody else is asleep, according to them, is for them to get control of the world and do a good job of it, because they think they're doing a good job. They've got their gods. They have their gods. Everybody has their idols and their gods, and this is what we were warned not to have before we contracted to come down here into incarnation. As spiritual entities, we were warned not to contract and do any deals with anybody. If you do, you will have to work those out karmically in subsequent lives. So we know that we weren't supposed to be contracting with these entities, but they have been proactive in getting us to contract in ways in which doesn't seem to be, because they offer benefits and privileges and services. So we've been really just hoodwinked. But their method, the madness, is that they want to have a world system. Now, because they're evil, we know that the New World Order is evil. But if a new world order of order, I wouldn't like to use that word order, because everything is ordered anyway, but if a new world or a world came that was loving and all-embracing and was really, really, truly a one new, beautiful, loving new world, we would all... Well, we're for that, of course. That's why we're here. We're for that. It's just that we're not for a one-world system that is controlled by someone else, and that someone else happens to be very, very controlling and nasty. But the whole concept is they always use good ideas. I mean, the notion of fixing this world up because it's polluted is great. You know, this carbon tax and all of this stuff and this green awareness. In a way, even though for us, the green movement and all these foot soldiers that go around giving you 10 points if you've got, mercury globe instead of the old filament, and they give you a pat on the back and they come and visit you, knock on the house. Have you seen those green police? And they come and they say, you shouldn't have dripping taps, and they come around and police, and they're called the green police. Now, on a level, see that sort of stuff to me, because I know that the universe is only abundant, and there's no shortages, as they claim there is. I know that those people are basically working for a corrupt system, but they don't. But in the meantime, they are expanding their consciousness on their level, because they are now introducing themselves to the fact that the earth needs protection, and that we can do little things, even if it's changing a light globe, to fix it. Even though that's a crock of shit, changing a light globe is not really going to change much. You've got to change bigger things. Little things are good too. Yes, let's do those, sure. But there's abundance. There is no shortage of water or energy or anything like that. And these police that come to you, these environment police, so they are also being helped, though, too, on their level.
And
Thank you. Thanks very much, Santos. Cheers.
That's lovely. And one more thing I just wanted to ask you, Santos, as well. With the statement you made before about when you encounter police, as soon as you show them any kind of ID, their role is to, in their head they're thinking, right, I need to see what I can use against you. I mean, they're essentially earning commission by taking you down. They're hoping to get up the ladder in their position. I've heard of ways where you can notarize your own ID as a sovereign. Get that notarized, and then that way the police can't, enforce anything else. Can you tell me about that if you know anything?
Yeah, okay. Let me share some good remedies for you in that, and some websites and resources. First thing, you probably might want to trademark your name. Now, Mark Hollywood at Hollywood. I think it's the YouTube handle is Hollywood 642. Look, I'll just check that. But he talks about that. I interviewed him on American Freedom Radio. You don't copyright your name, you trademark it. All you have to do is proclaim, not declare. Proclaim on a sheet of paper, a letter you write to get notarized. I proclaim that the name Santos Bonacci, capital S, capital B, is a trademark autographed name. Then you get that notarized, then you shoot it off to get it authorized. That is a bond. That is that's you out of their jurisdiction. In other words, it's you having the first claim on your name and not the police officer. So when the police officer stops you, you pull that out, and you might want to say, you might want to consider this first, buddy. You're going to be using my name, right? Okay. It's a trademark copyrighted name. So Mark Hollywood. The other thing you might want to look into is, of course, the People's Trust is a great remedy. Let me see. In terms of those kinds of remedies, trademark your name, get off the voter roll, just get off it. Just get right off it. Write to them and just get off it. I would never have a car license. That makes you the lowest officer in the realm, and they will kick your butt.
Absolutely. I mean, I've searched into folks in Canada. There's a guy called Mark Savory. Now, he's done a perfect job about this. He's telling people how to use strictly your birth certificates to hand over to the policeman with your affidavit ID. He says just show that over to him. Make sure your car's registered to a trust or as a corporation, so it's a corporate fiction, because they're essentially asking for your name. So he's saying back to the police, well, I have no problem, registering my car to a corporate fiction. And when the policeman asks him, who's the car belong to, and he just simply says, well, it's a corporation. Like, what are you looking for? The CEO, the shareholders, so that's when they're basically asking for someone to own up for a car that's just a piece of paper, and that's again you stepping out of their jurisdiction. But yeah, fabulous answer to the question. I'll definitely look up into the trademark stuff.
No worries. And just quickly, it was Hollywood 6641. Great website, great resource.
Lovely. Thank you, Santos.
Gentlemen, I don't know if gentlemen's the right word, lads, brothers and sisters, or brothers tonight. Oh, of course, I forgot Callie in the background, and sister, keeping up the girl power all on your own back there. Good on you, girl. Wonderful Darkcity. What can I say? Absolutely brilliant. Welcome to Darkcity, Santos. They're going to want to hear more of you now. We are predominantly English, man, so brilliant. If you want airtime, you want to get on, let us know, man. We'll be more than happy to have you anytime.
Well, I'm one of the world's #1 Anglophiles, so I'm with you.
Well, we didn't know where we were kind of guided to do this, to build this, Santo. That's what we were doing. We didn't know how it would come together and look at the people around you. Thank you very much, ladies and gents, boys and girls out there, and most of all to the listeners. That was the Darkcity. We'll return you to our extended playlist. Catch you soon. Thank you very much indeed.